All right. So what we're going to do today is, and we're going to take 5 minutes to start. You have 2 circle maps, and in the middle, it says Black Lives Matter. Now, on one of those maps, it says pro, and on one of those maps, it says anti. So what I'm going to have us do is I'm going to have half of us kind of respond. Not that you are pro or anti the Black Lives Matter movement, but I want you to put yourself in the mind space of someone who would support Black Lives Matter, or I want you to put yourself in the mind space of someone who does not support Black Lives Matter. That could be politicians, right? That can be events, that can be ideas. Anything that comes to mind, you're going to go ahead and write that. So we're brainstorming, okay? So we're going to take 5 minutes, and then we're going to reconvene. Thank you, my friends. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen with you guys. I'm going to use my iPad, all right? Okay, so if you are someone, and we're just going to start with the people who were on the pro perspective, you're going to go ahead and share out some of your answers, and then I'll give you some pushback a little bit to kind of extend your thinking a little bit more. So who wants to get us started?
Equality.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do we mean by equality?
Like equality for all, like everyone's equal and should be treated equally.
Okay, so which group in this instance is most seeking that?
Black lives.
Okay, so like Black Americans, we'll say, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you. Robbie, go ahead, man.
I have resistance to the past.
Robbie, you're going to have to go ahead and explain, kind sir. Elaborate what that's talking about.
So just the ways people have been treated, whether it be Black, trans people, women, all minority groups, just how they've been oppressed in the past.
Okay.
And the release of oppression.
The release of oppression. I like that too. I like that explanation of different minority groups, perhaps groups who have been marginalized. All right, cool.
I put raising awareness on the issue so that there's less stereotyping.
Okay. What is the issue at hand, Talia?
Just that, like, there's a lot of prejudice, and like the main problem is the cops.
Okay,
like,
so prejudice. So like prejudice in policing, you're saying? Perhaps?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also think it's in people. Like, I feel like the issue is more of how certain people view other people.
All right. Who else was on the pro side? Mr. Harmelin, go ahead. And then Sahana.
I really thought of the word movement and how it also has to do with raising awareness. How this issue has struck most of the world and most of our country, and just how it's created a huge uproar in our society.
I keep hearing this word issue, and Talia kind of got to it. She's talking about prejudice. I wonder if you would characterize the issue differently, sir.
The African American community doesn't feel like they're being treated the same as.
What's that called? What's that called?
Racism.
Oh, okay. Just checking. All right. Anti-side. Is there anything they left out?
Reforming the police. I think that's the biggest one.
Okay.
In my opinion, that this is like the movement outbroke again due to police brutality.
Okay.
So I feel like reforming of it and changing it and making sure police are trained the right way is the only way we can get the right action done. Okay.
All right, everyone. Well done. And then I'm going to go ahead and ask that if you are on the pro side, at the end, if you want to add something to the anti, that's totally fine too. Okay.
So one will be all lives matter.
Okay.
For blue lives matter.
Okay. So right off the bat, Logan, tell me what you think the differences are that represent, like, so all lives or blue lives matter. What is their perspective?
They think that since they are not Black, they cannot agree with the movement going on.
Yep.
White supremacists, they believe that Black lives don't matter, and it's horrible that they think that, but they are.
Going back to the most kind of obvious one is just that people think that protests are kind of disrespectful or just destructive to the community, and people aren't handling it the way that they should be, I think.
So from this perspective, people are seeing these riots, they're seeing these protests, and are kind of saying, well, that takes away from the movement, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Was there anyone else I put on that side that I haven't called on?
On the anti side, the biggest argument that I see going on is more white people are killed by cops than black people.
Okay. All right. So statistics. Thank you, Logan.
Just going on that thing of perception, I kind of wrote out when we were talking about like rich versus poor and how diversification among social and economic classes affect perception. So I kind of built on that thinking. I don't know if we hear that or no.
Yeah, and I think perception, Robbie, definitely goes in both maps, like no doubt about it. And the perception is what it comes down to, where you might find yourself, like which group you would support is all about your perception. It's probably about your life experiences too, to a huge degree. So that's really well. Yeah, really well said. And what you're kind of doing like a perfect segue for us, Robbie, into like the next aspect of our activity. And so I'll kind of cut us right here. So take a look now, if you would, at the ways things can be complex. I want you to answer the second triangle. All right. I want you to answer the second triangle. That's complexity of truth. So what are the undisputed facts and interpretations? What are the disputed facts and interpretations? And what are the uncertainties? This speaks directly to Robbie right now, like what he kind of just said about perception. So what I want you to try to do, and your answers now, there's going to be some disagreement. Like for Robbie, what you said was so perfect, bud. To someone in the Black Lives Matter movement, they're going to say it is a fact that people of color are specifically and unfairly targeted by law enforcement. Whereas someone in the All Lives Matter is going to say, statistically, that's not true, right? So that's what you're wrestling with there. So go ahead and in that little triangle slice, try to think about what are the things at play that are disputed or in your mind, clear-cut factual, okay? That's what I'm looking for in that one, okay? And then what I'd like is for you to do the last slice, okay? So the complexity of perspective. What are all the different viewpoints, perspectives, lenses, and then the word stakeholders? Who has something to gain or to lose here, all right? I'm going to say 5 to 7 minutes here, okay? And I'd like you to do both. I want everyone to do both. We're going to wrestle with these two slices, okay? Go ahead and put one slice in one color and then the other slice in another, and we're going to reconvene in 5 to 6. All right. Who wants to hop in and share what they came up with? Yeah, and it could just be one thing because I want to share the wealth here.
More white people are killed by police than black people.
Okay, so the idea, and more white people killed by police. Now, for you, is this in the disputed or undisputed?
It's disputed by others, but it's a statistic that should be undisputed.
I put African American communities are underfunded in aspects such as like schools and libraries.
Okay.
I think that this is something that is a huge debate on all of this, and saying that not all cops are bad or discriminating.
All right, Logan, close us up on slice number 2, bud.
Kneeling for the national anthem is disrespectful for the military.
So yeah, it's like now that we're like doing this, it's like, oh, holy smokes, we could have added so many to those circle maps. So kneeling, Logan, disputed or undisputed?
Disputed.
Of course, yeah. Quickly tell me like how each side probably sees it.
One side thinks, I fought for my country, people are fighting overseas for my country, they shouldn't be doing that, it's so disrespectful, blah, 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 blah. Where the pro side would be, this is not about the military, has never been about the military. It's about how can I live in my own country where I'm a citizen, I pay taxes, I do everything as a community, and I'm not even equal. I don't have the same freedoms as everyone else. So
Right.
I'm doing this as my platform to get my point across. Nothing
Right.
disrespectful.
All right. So I really am really am liking we're capturing these perspectives, guys. This is really well done. Okay. Let's move on to slice 5.
I might have done this wrong, but when I was thinking of like complexity of perspective, I was thinking how like knowing somebody's perspective and their intentions can be complex. So I was like thinking about how like the media or just people in Hollywood, you never know what their intentions are when they're supporting something like Black Lives Matter. Like you don't know if they're supporting it because they genuinely care and want to make a difference or if they just want to profit. So that can be very complex from their like knowing their
I want to blow that up even more. When we question people's intentions, like, and this could be across any political issue, any social issue, right? Like, right, so I think this is a really important point, no matter the issue we're talking about. But on race especially, this is something that it's very touchy, and it's like, what did people really mean when they said X, Y, or Z? And then those things can kind of become part of the conflict. So I think this is absolutely vital that you brought that up. Well said, Samantha. All right. You see how we go down one road, and this goes back to like Talia bringing up this point. No matter what place we go, there's 10,000 pieces to it. That's why I like this routine, the ways things can be complex. For an issue like police brutality and an issue like race and racism, I would say there's about 40 million different ways that this can be complex. And this is a really good snapshot of that, Sahana. Really well done. I'm going to stop the share really quick. Like literally this could have been over the course of like 2 or 3 periods because there was that much discussion, there was that much sharing. And from the bottom of my heart, y'all, I really appreciate your willingness to hang out with me for an hour. It means the world to me.